Dela writes, my MVVs, welcome.
What would have happened if the full moon had rejected Queen Naomi's offering? Or if what had happened with the elders had affected the major third full moon ritual, okay? They said that it would have taken another 4 to 12 years for them to run this again. That Ooni of Ife was the one who was enlightening others. And while Kabiyesi was doing this after the successful completion of that ritual, that Queen Naomi was crying the entire time. Like the Queen Naomi was crying. The father was there. The mother was there. People were there. Queen Naomi was crying. It was the mother who held Queen Naomi. She was crying. You know, we may never ever appreciate the things that that woman has gone through. And that is why they continue to say, you know, marrying an Ooni of Ife is not a small thing. No. It is not a small thing. To be very honest, if not for the fact that they say that, you know, they are tied together, the destiny is tied together. So what that means is that anywhere Queen Naomi goes now, she might face a lot of challenges, just as Kabiyesi is facing thousands upon thousands of challenges. That is supposed to be both of them together. If not for that, me, I would have said this one, instead of anybody to go through this kind of wahala in this world, me they waka. But, you know, nobody can say that. Number one, Olori Naomi loves her husband so much. Time and time again, they said she has spoken to her father, that man is the love of her life, that no matter what has happened, that she loves her husband. She wants to return back to her husband no matter what it takes. And I feel like that is the way to go because she is queen, a good one, a beautiful one, a well-respected queen. Yes, she is indeed well-respected. But no one truly understands the weight Queen Naomi carried. You know, yeah, no one can understand the weight that lady has been carrying. Especially on that night, not the chiefs watching from the shadow, not the priestesses singing the chant, not even many of the royal aides who helped her prepare for the ritual, the final ritual, until the Ooni of Ife spoke later during the quiet down celebration, okay? Most people had no idea just how much was at stake beneath the bright full moon that crowned the sacred skies of Ile-Ife. As Queen Naomi sat beside Kabiyesi, eyes swollen from silent tears, but glowing with divine peace, they only revealed a truth that chilled everyone present. If the moon had rejected their offering, you know, he and Naomi would have, you know, been, you know, recognized as his, you know, Queen Naomi would have been recognized as his concubine. That they would have seen Queen Naomi as a concubine traditionally. That is what would have happened. And for another 4 to 12 years. The full moon ritual were not simply poetic ceremonies. They were binding spiritual pact that tied the soul of the king and queen together before ancestral spirit, Orisha deities, and the ruling energies of Ile-Ife, bonding, you know, founding bloodline. Only the full moon could speak to seal this pact. And only 3 chances were given. 3 full moons. If a couple failed to complete the rite within these 3 windows, the union was considered unfit in that season of time. They only explained that the 3 full moon rituals are rare because they don't just involve time. They involve cosmic alignment. Each full moon that falls within the chosen ritual cycle must meet very specific traditional criteria. The presence of an unclouded moon, the approval of the Ori Mole, and the release of ancestral silence. Missing any one of them reset the cycle entirely. In this case, Queen Naomi and the Ooni of Ife were blessed to have succeeded with the first 2 rituals, Ipade Ayelala and Imole Aye. But the third and final one, Ifihan Oluwa, the one that required external validation through the Faranda rite, nearly collapsed, and had it collapsed completely, the consequences would have been spiritually devastating, not just for the Ooni of Ife, but for Queen Naomi. They said they only revealed as people learned in quietly, okay, that if the full moon had rejected their offering, either through sudden cloud cover, I don't know, you and I, we used to see this thing where, the moon will be, I don't know if you have ever lived in a village before, because I have, okay, where the moon will be so bright, then all of a sudden it will just go, the cloud will just cover it. If that had happened during that time, this their offering would have been rejected. And God really helped that those men didn't make it there, because that would have happened. The gods protected Queen Naomi and the Ooni of Ife's ritual for a reason. That was what happened. That if there was a cloud, the gods would have interpreted it as a rejection of her restoration. That means Queen Naomi, despite all the ritual, would have been spiritually recognized. She would have had to wait a minimum of 4 years again. That their marriage would not have been recognized again. So basically, everybody knows they are married. Everybody knows that they come together. Everybody knows that they see. Everybody knows how Kabiyesi feels for that woman. But by the tradition of the royal family in Ile-Ife, a woman does not just pack her things and leave her matrimonial home. If you even do that, it has to be in silence, like quietly. And the tradition requires you to go very far away, like Wurola did. Very far away, like Wurola did. Remember when Wurola left? For years, nobody heard about Wurola until recently, where we started seeing her again and all of that. That is what the tradition required. But in this case, Queen Naomi was pushed spiritually to make her own very loud. As a matter of fact, she went on social media. That alone is a taboo. That is a slap on their face, as in the culture, the tradition, and that is why you see this whole thing is so cumbersome. And that was what they wanted. The enemies wanted it that way, because they thought that nothing in this world would ever bring them together. They are even shocked at the grace of God upon Queen Naomi's life, that Kabiyesi is going through all of this for Olori Naomi. So this is a big deal. This is something that is very big. This is something that is very huge. Like, if not for the grace of God, this wouldn't be happening. Now, if this full moon had not been done now, it would have been another 4 to 12 years. And during that waiting period, she would have had to leave, like nobody. You see this thing that they are doing now, that nobody, she cannot be called the wife of the Ooni of Ife. When the palace is addressing her, they are addressing her as ex-queen. They are addressing her as former queen. They are not calling her Olori of Ile-Ife or Olori of the Ooni of Ife. Nobody is calling her that. They are not allowed to call her that. It would have continued. But with the full moon ritual now that is completed, as soon as that is your Farende rite, the sealing rite is complete, they will be out together again. You will see them together again. Nobody can hold Ooni of Ife responsible for breaking tradition or not doing this or not doing that. And that was what these people never ever wanted. Every time Naomi is disgraced by, being referred to as the former wife of the Ooni of Ife or ex-queen, these women, now so their heart go dey sweet. They'll be so joyous because that is how they want Olori Naomi to be addressed. And if this thing had failed, Naomi would have been seen by their tradition like as if she is a concubine until it is reinitiated. So basically what Kabiyesi explained to them is that when you initiate the first full moon ritual or the 3 full moon ritual, you cannot initiate it again until after 4 years. Now they would have had to wait for 4 years again to reinitiate this. Have you seen what is going on? They say Queen Naomi sat quietly, wiping tears from her cheeks as the Oni disclosed this to the gathering. It was not a public announcement, it was a moment of revelation between him, her, and a few spiritual elders who had gathered after the celebration. He then added, there are women in Yoruba royal history who love their kings, and the king loved them. But because the god did not seal it, they remain as shadow queens, known only in stories, not in title. He paused and looked at Queen Naomi before continuing. But the moon accepted you, and so your name will not be whispered in corners. It will be carved in legacy. What many did not know is that the moon is considered an elder witness in Yoruba cosmology. It watches over the affairs of kings. During sacred rite like this, the moon is not merely a celestial body, it becomes a living eye of the divine. And if the eyes closes during your ritual, through a cloud, an animal scream, or even a sudden collapse of a witness, the gods have spoken a rejection. Now you see how important this ritual is. And I keep wondering why these men do not know how important this ritual is, that you will allow people to influence you to a point where you will disgrace yourself like this. But to the glory of God, Kabiyesi did what he needed to have done. I'll bring you more update. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. Love you guys. Thank you so much.